Welcome to episode 9 of Everything Sports with Aman. I'm your host, Aman Adkarni, and I talk about the hottest topics in sports over the course of the past week. And today, I'm going to talk about Manchester City being on a hot streak in the Premier League, the Detroit Pistons agreeing to a buyout with Blake Griffin around an hour ago, actually. Jump into Fantasy Minute, the NBA All Stars being announced, and Dak Prescott wanting a huge contract. Like, I mean, a huge contract. And I don't think he's worth as much as he thinks he's worth. And I just want to say this real quickly. I didn't address it on weekend wrap up. It happened so fast. I gained around 250 ish subscribers this week. Thank you for this huge, huge support, and I really appreciate it. With that out of the way, Manchester City being on a hot streak in the Premier League, like their forwards are amazing. We already know about Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus. They got Kevin De Bruyne. Ederson's doing a good job posting like 15 clean sheets. 65 points for Manchester City, clearly at the top of the English Premier League table. On the second place in the Premier League is 14 points behind, who is Manchester United, who are kind of slowing down a little bit, I have to say. But Chelsea is also on fire with Thomas Tuchel after the firing of Frank Lampard. It's crazy what's going on. Liverpool's not gonna be in the top four, I don't think, at the way they're playing and at that rate. I don't see it happening, but we're not talking about Liverpool, Manchester United, or Chelsea. We're talking about Manchester City. 21 straight games they have won. Their next matchup is against Manchester United. So, nonetheless, that's going to be a really great game to watch. We'll see what happens. Manchester United need to go on a streak and a half if they have any chance of catching Manchester City. But by the looks of it, Manchester City is going to win the English Premier League. They're just too good. Like, they're insanely good. The last time they lost felt like 2 years ago. Like, they just keep winning against so many teams. I expect them to lose some of the games. Came Their last English Premier League loss came on September 27th, 2020. Think about that. That is 6 months since they last lost an English Premier League game. Think about that. 6 months. That is just shocking to me. 6 months since they have lost an English Premier League game. That's how you know their soccer is just top notch. It's amazing. And if they land Lionel Messi after his contract expires, then Manchester City are going to be winning the Premier League every single year until Messi retires. And with that, you can clearly see what I said about Manchester City. They're just too good. They're not going to slow down, in my opinion. They're going to run away with the English Premier League. And with that, Blake Griffin being bought out by the Detroit Pistons, that is crazy news because now this allows contenders to get that star to pair up with their duo because the five teams listed Lakers, Clippers, Nets, Warriors, and Heat. I honestly don't see Blake Griffin fitting on the Warriors unless he's going to be open to a bench role with the team because Draymond's going to be power forward and they can't play Griffin or Draymond at center because Looney will be on the bench and that'll affect Wiseman's minutes. So I honestly don't like Warriors going after Blake Griffin as a Warriors fan. But we see the LA Lakers, they got LeBron and Anthony Davis. Anytime you pair those two together, or those three together, that's going to be a finals team. Lakers are already a finals team, so if they land Blake Griffin on top of that, they're going to win the finals. LA Clippers, if Griffin wants to be with Steve Ballmer again, didn't look like the relationship ended well when he got traded to Detroit. Um, the Brooklyn Nets, it's gonna be like a ring guaranteed. They're gonna win the championship if they land Blake Griffin, and it's expected that they are going to sign them. The Nets are gonna sign Blake Griffin. They're the favorites too. As I said, Warriors don't really fit Blake Griffin, but the Miami Heat, this is the team I would like to see Blake Griffin on. I know he's buddies with Jimmy Butler, so that's a plus. You got Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and then you add Blake Griffin. That is the perfect system to put Blake Griffin in. Gritty, that grittiness, the grit they have. They just want to work no matter what. Winning is all that matters. All they do is win, 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 no matter what. Obviously, I took that from the song. Blake Griffin, I really would like to see him on the Heat. I really want Jimmy Butler to win a ring. He's one of my favorite basketball players. You guys didn't know that. And Bam Adebayo is putting up all-star numbers. Don't know how he didn't make it. But that's a different conversation for a different time. And with that, Blake Griffin is definitely going to change a team from a playoff contender to a championship contender. Yes, I said it. Maybe the Utah Jazz should go after him to pair Blake Griffin and Rudy Gobert, but I can't imagine Blake Griffin in a Utah Jazz jersey. I'm just throwing out teams. Miami is definitely the best fit for Blake Griffin, in my opinion. With that, we'll go to Fantasy Minute. All right, talk about the top 5 players you should add on your team in case you're struggling or just want to stay on top in your league. Without further ado, let's get started. TJ McConnell, point guard, shooting guard, Indiana, 44% rostered. Watching their games, I have no idea how he doesn't run out of energy. He got 9 steals and a half, something insane. Danny Green's shooting guard, small forward, Philadelphia, 25%. Of course, we know who he is from playing with the Lakers last season. He shoots three, defends sometimes. He'll get a rebound here and there. So if you need that on your team, then definitely pick him up. Sadiq Bey, small forward, Detroit, 46%. He's been playing decent all season long. And now with Blake Griffin out, Drummond being out like 2 seasons ago when they traded him, or like 1 season ago, whenever they traded Drummond out, uh, getting more minutes. Derek Jones Jr., shooting guard, small forward, Portland, 30%. He's meshed well with Covington, Lillard, McCollum, and those guys. Nurkic when he was healthy. Malik Monk, point guard, shooting guard for Charlotte, 28%. He's shooting threes really well. Like he's one of the top in the league in that. So if your team needs that, pick him up. So now, with that, that was exactly a minute. NBA All Stars were announced yesterday via LeBron and KD drafting. I honestly think LeBron is going to run away with this just because his starting five is Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, himself, Giannis, and then Nikola Jokic. Durant has Kyrie, Beal, Kawhi, Tatum, and Embiid. And then the reserves for KD, Harden, Booker, Zion, Levine, Randall, Vucevic, and Donovan Mitchell. LeBron's got Dame Time, Ben Simmons, CP3, Jalen Brown, Paul George, DeMontis Sabonis, and Rudy Gobert. I can definitely see Kevin Durant's team scoring a bit less points just because they do have the size over LeBron's team. But LeBron's team, for clutch time, you have to have Steph and Damian Lillard on the court. Imagine this. The All-Star game is just going to be Stephen Curry and Lillard just chucking up half courts and they're going to go in. I can already picture that. The way they shoot, it's going to be amazing to watch as a fan and as a competitor. You're just going to marvel at them. I thought Zion was drafted a little high and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert last picks. What was LeBron's excuse? He's like, you never played Utah as Utah in a video game growing up. And me growing up right now, no one plays as the Utah Jazz. So I'll give LeBron that. But the Jazz are the best team and the best players on the best team in the best league, I guess, are the last picks in a draft. Like, how did that even happen? You drafted, let's see, these are all stars for sure, but Julius Randle is better. No, Julius Randle is worse than Rudy Gobert. He's still really good. Not taking anything away from Randle. Mitchell and Gobert should have been drafted higher than Randle, Sabonis, and Vucevic. Right there, like, come on. LeBron's like, oh, I need size, and then drafts DeMontis Sabonis over Gobert, even though he did end up getting Gobert. That was just funny to me and slightly disappointing. This is going to make the Utah Jazz motivated this entire season for their stars getting picked last. So don't be surprised when the finals runs through Salt Lake City. And my picks, LeBron is going to destroy Kevin Durant, in my opinion. Just looking at Steph, Giannis, and LeBron, I can't get over my mind that actually happened because Durant picked his teammate Kyrie Irving. And so the result will probably be, I'm going to say LeBron is going to win and score at least 180 points. At least 180 points. And with that, Dak Prescott wanting a massive contract. Like when I say massive, I mean massive contract. He wants to get paid behind Patrick Mahomes. And Dak Prescott is a really good QB. I wouldn't call him an elite QB, but a really good one, like just a smidge under elite, just because he's playing in Dallas. And it's not his fault that he has the pieces. They just can't get it to work in Dallas. They are a playoff team if you look at it on paper, but time and time again, they fall short each game. And before Dak Prescott got hurt, he was carrying the Dallas Cowboys a ton. And when he went down, you saw what happened to Ezekiel Elliott. Like sometimes there's one player on the team that makes everyone else better, and without that one player that makes everyone else better, those players that are supposed to do well don't do well. And I feel like this is one example because Dak Prescott is the leader of the Dallas Cowboys by far and clearly the face of their franchise. And Jerry Jones is clearly mistreating Dak Prescott. And I haven't seen what I'm about to say brought up, but with racial inequality, I think Jerry Jones is not paying him just because Dak Prescott is not the same skin color as him. I didn't want to say that, but that is my thought process because Jerry Jones treated Tony Romo so well, even though Tony Romo was clearly going to retire soon and Dak Prescott balling out in preseason. Tony Romo still gets a starting job and then gets hurt. And then Dak Prescott, now we look back and it's a shame he's been going through this the past few years. And I don't know why he's still entertaining offers from Dallas. He should walk if Dallas doesn't franchise tag him. I believe March 9th is the last day to franchise tag. I cannot believe the fact they haven't paid Dak Prescott because who's going to be your QB? Are you really satisfied with Andy Dalton? With Andy Dalton or the Garrett Gilbert or Ben DiNucci? Are you satisfied with those players? Then let Dak Prescott walk because the Dallas Cowboys are clearly a better team with Dak Prescott. And in 2016, since he's entered the league, he's gotten 106 touchdowns, 40 interceptions, 66% completion percentage. So if you average that out, that's he's throwing 8 interceptions a year and he is throwing 21.2, let's say 21 touchdowns and 8 interceptions per year. That is an average quarterback. So when you look at his stats, then you realize he's not that worthy of being paid behind Patrick Mahomes. But the stats don't tell you everything about a player. It's their leadership, their mentorship, how they act in the locker room, just things like that. Other than the statistics, is not other than the statistic that tells you a lot about if a player is good or bad. And it's not only how they perform, it's like how they take care of their community, their players, their leadership. Dak Prescott is that person for the Dallas Cowboys. Honestly, Jerry Jones should pay Dak Prescott rather than getting another quarterback. It sucks to see Dak Prescott go through this. And I honestly think, I firmly believe that it's Jerry Jones not being the same skin color as Dak Prescott. We've seen this problem over the course of the past year, and it's not solved, and now it's coming into sports. That is my take on this situation. And but I think Dak Prescott should get paid. Definitely not behind Mahomes. I'd probably say between 27 million and 33 million. And I proposed a potential $32.5 million deal for Dak Prescott over the course of the Cowboys want him for 5 years, but he wants four. That's 162 and a half. That might be overpaid for Dak Prescott, but I think that's what Dak Prescott should ask instead of some huge 40 million a year deal. Carson Wentz is being paid more than that. It's not better than Dak Prescott, or Jared Goff is not better than Dak Prescott. But definitely 27 to 33 million dollars is what I think Dak Prescott is worth. And yes, he asked for 35 million a year, which he turned down because it was 5 years. But being injured definitely hurt his stock, which is why I am making him more 27 to 33 million dollars a year. And if it doesn't work, then request a trade instead of just being franchise tagged. And Cowboys are super dumb to just franchise tag him the next year. You're gonna be looking at $35 million franchise tag and then $50 million franchise tag next year if they do not reach a long term deal by then. That is being paid as much as Patrick Mahomes. So if you're thinking of just going the franchise tag route, you're gonna be wasting more money if you were to just pay him now. I don't think the Cowboys get that. I honestly don't. I don't think Jerry Jones has gotten that. I don't even think he's qualified for this job because he clearly sucks at it. Why would you pay your offensive line, your running back, and then your defense before Dak Prescott? He is the reason why the Cowboys are good, and the quarterback is often the best player on your football team. It's either the quarterback, running back, or receiver. It's not going to be the offensive line or defensive player that's going to be the best player on your team. And if I'm wrong, correct me on what I just said, because you look at teams like Saints, you had Drew Brees, now Michael Thomas, San Francisco 49ers, Nick Bosa. Okay, that's a defensive. Not many teams have their best players as a defensive lineman or offense or someone on the defense. It's always quarterback, running back, or receiver as the face of your franchise. That's my take on it. Dak Prescott's not worth much, or at least better or worse than Patrick Mahomes. He's definitely in that 27 to 33 million dollar range, in my opinion. Not worth being paid right behind Mahomes. But with that, tune in on Monday for weekend wrap up episode 5, or next Friday for the normal podcast episode 10 of Everything Sports with Aman. Thanks for tuning in.